Hello there, commanders, and welcome back to National Cup. We are in the second semi-final now between Ukraine and Poland. We are on Rubicon, so most likely the Polish map of choice, but to be honest, I think Ukraine likes this map as well. So let's see what both teams are up to. Whoever wins this semi-final is only the first battle, obviously, is going to face Russia in the final, and the loser is going to face China in the battle for the third place. So see, repeating crossbows here on the left side for the Polish team, accompanied by 3 melee players looking to maybe launch an attack onto a D, but it is going to be met with roughly equal forces here by the Ukrainian team, as they do spot them. No, they shouldn't see them yet, maybe over here, but this bumpy terrain should prevent them from actually spotting over here. But once they realize, they're sending more and more forces over there. There we go. C is going to be contested already. And here, for the moment, both teams are chilling. Ukraine has captured the watchtower, so they should see a little bit of the Polish force over here. So I don't know, is the Polish team baiting the Ukrainians, or are they just not aware that they're being spotted by the watchtower over here? That is interesting, but nonetheless, repeating crossbows are going to be moved forward by the Ukrainians, finding some volleys into the Polish team, as now it retreats further deeper into the vineyards, where they will have, well, not really the vision advantage, as both teams will just go blindly into this territory, as it's tall grass everywhere. The Polish team is trying to set up some traps over there, but the engagement over here is already going strong. The repeating crossbows here for the Polish team, launching volleys after volleys, but into fight the shades and not achieving really much. And my camera takes me away. The Polish team is trying to find a flank, 3 units versus just 1 of the Ukrainians over here, trying to create some flanks, open some gaps. Arcleon still doing AFK out of the point, looking where he could reinforce. Can't really go against spikes, he can't really support his spikes. So he could go over here and support, and there we go, now he decides to do that. He's also going to support his spearmen in the engagement versus spikes. Maybe not really, but the Ukrainian pikes and spears have managed to push through as well here on this flank, and they will now push the repeating crossbows of the Polish team away, managing to even catch some of them off guard with that charge. One of the Ukrainian units is right over here on this flank. The Arcleon is going to try to delay them, but the Polish team is looking very, very strong over there. In the meantime, here over on the B flank, the Ukrainians and the Polish are clashing inside the vineyards. The Ukrainians did realize that the watchtower doesn't really provide them anymore the advantage. We've seen some other teams just holding onto that watchtower for the dear life, even though it doesn't really help at all. So, Ukrainians, they definitely do know how Total War Arena is supposed to be played. There we go, one of the units routed, also surprising right flank. So melee advantage in this area is going to be essentially twice as valuable because of all the surprising flanks that can be found. And, well, the cavalry charge is going to try to blindly hit the Ukrainian repeating crossbows, but it's going to be stopped by the Ukrainian spears. But almost routed. Awful piece of units though being used that will hold the unit, but that already lost quite a lot of HP. The healing zone is not being denied by the Ukrainian team, so the Polish team will be able to retreat there, heal up and reinforce the front line, as the Ukrainian team will not really be able to do the same for them. So they will be running out of steam, and let's see if the Polish team has run out of steam. The repeating crossbows have definitely run into a melee engagement. I have no idea how they could have ever possibly found themselves in such a situation. I mean, they maybe were running away like that and they didn't meet with their swords, but still, that is quite a bizarre position to find ourselves in. And well, the Polish team is still looking quite strong over here, as they have only a few soldiers left here that are being slowly surrounded by the Polish team, and now they are fighting the... How is it the reflank? Okay, maybe over here. So okay, now the Polish team needs to find a side flank over here. That unit will definitely be able to do that, unless the unit goes down below 10 soldiers. So that is just going to be another reflank. But you can just kill 2 of them. There we go. Reflank now will be enough to rout them, and the Polish team is going to capture D anytime soon. Can the Ukrainians respond with the same over here? They did manage to push with the support of the repeating crossbows further and further into the Polish front lines. They're also close to denying the healing zone. But again, well, you can heal, but as soon as you heal, you are going to get routed and cut down as if you never healed anyway. Some of the units are getting routed, some of the units are getting pursued. One last unit remaining on top of B. well, not about to be routed, drop the flank, but it's just simply killed in old cold fashion. And Ukrainians are going to secure B for themselves, while D is still not being captured by the Polish team, as the Ukrainian units still manage to hold on. But that unit, once it is routed to 2 side flanks, equals -1 morale, is enough to rout them. Anytime now, nope, the flanks drop, there we go, they are reapplied now. It is going to rout, and nope, and it is, okay, no, it is, no, and there we go, okay. It was really hesitant whether or not it was already flanked or surrounded completely. Couldn't really decide, but now D is going to be captured, but the Ukrainian team was simply faster. It is already not even didn't want to hit. They're pushing forward onto the Polish healing zone over here, at the base, sorry. But they have achieved their objective. They have cut down the units that were trying to run away, gotten that XP advantage very nicely. All the units have leveled up already to rank 1. The Ukrainians are now going to heal up all the units over here, and they have already recalled some of them back to base to heal up and reinforce C, as there's just a Scipio versus Scipio engagement over here. Both teams just oafing on top of C, waiting for the flanks to be resolved. But as I said, the Polish team is a little bit slower than the Ukrainians, 35 seconds slower to be precise, which means the Ukrainians are already reinforcing, although the Polish team is already reinforcing as well. Some of the soldiers, some of the players have died over here, so they were able to respawn as well. But now they seem to be threatened by the Ukrainian base rush, so they are reinforcing the area, which means less or fewer reinforcements coming into C for the Polish side. It's quite interesting, but yeah, the Ukrainians do show up over here, but I'm thinking the intention is just to attack C from the flanks. The Polish team is looking to try to prevent that from happening, but as they stretch out their front lines, that may spell disaster for them, as they can be just routed one by one. And well, Ukrainians now, as they are delaying the Polish reinforcements coming in, and as they end up coming in, they are also pursued by more and more Ukrainian reinforcements. The Ukrainians definitely do have advantage in the area. Over here, oh, the Polish attack with Foxman manages to rout one of the units. Nuke damage as well being applied, and now the flanks being dropped, and God of War comes in. And there we go. The Ukrainian team manages to respond in time. That unit wasn't quickly cut down quickly enough. So the Polish team, good attempt over there, but in the end the Ukrainians were here in time to prevent that, and now they will get a lot of free XP for killing off those 3 Volksman units. So now all the attention of both teams is directed towards C, but sort of a counterattack is happening on D, but they are being held ahead of the point, so it is not even going to be contested. The point gain is not going to be denied. So both teams holding on to their flanks that they have secured. Some slight counterattack attempts being launched by both teams, and both of them failing, so very much a mirror matchup. But because B is still being contested, that actually means that the Polish team is going to pull out ahead in terms of points, slightly ahead, 90 points ahead of the Ukrainian teams, but that doesn't really mean anything. All it is about is the C. Polish team fighting 2 charges into the Ukrainians over here, and the repeating crossbows. Another unit is going to be collapsed, but that doesn't really mean killed soldiers. They have just been run over but not finished off. So it's going to be routed, so it's going to suffer some casualties. But it is Zhuge Liang with access to heal. You need to finish off those soldiers, or he'll just simply heal back up. And now that cavalry is stuck inside Ukrainian spears. And as they're repeating crossbows, okay, now they're getting out of the crossbows, so they can start cutting them down, but they also get routed. So not very well played there by the Polish cavalry, as the Ukrainians are protecting the repeating crossbows quite well. Both teams still very much in force over C, neither of them really having any advantage. Where are the repeating crossbows of the Polish team? They're actually caught here by the Ukrainian foxes. Can they sneak past over here? Wait, no. They almost run straight into cavalry. They're trying to sneak past over here, but they're just going to get straight into the bursts of the Ukrainian cavalry, but there's really nothing much more to punish them. The Ukrainian cavalry is trying to line up a charge. It's going to find a pretty okay charge over here, but it's also being pursued by the Polish Volksmen. But because the Volksmen are being committed over there, 2 versus 3 engagement over here, and the Ukrainian Volksmen are going to find flanks and routes over here onto these Volksmen of Polish team. and feed themselves even further. Already the rank 2, after those 2 units are going to be cut down, that XP advantage is going to be even more. Maybe not enough to secure the 3rd rank, but definitely they will be close as long as they can survive. And here, our cavalry from the Ukrainian team manages to sneak past the Polish formation over here, as that Polish formation is obliterated. And the Ukrainians are now going to control C. They have found another very good charge into the repeating crossbows. They're sticking as well, looking to kill them. Huge damage being inflicted here behind the base, so the Polish team cannot even heal up here. So instead they decide to respawn and heal over at D. And maybe they'll look to launch some kind of attack onto the base, as they have done in the past against one of the teams. I just can't remember against which team that was. But that doesn't really matter now. Now they need to defeat the Ukrainians that are now in an advantage. Still behind in points a little bit, but that is not going to last for long, as they're gaining more points than the Polish team per second. And they're looking to maybe launch an attack onto D. They're just buying time. They're not rushing in because they know they don't have enough forces to take them on. So they're waiting for the reinforcements to heal up over at the base and come back. Now new players are respawning that have died earlier. And yep, those Folksmen, one of the units at the very least, is already rank 3. So I would really leave that rank 3 over here and try to preserve the rank 2 on the units that are alive. As now more and more Polish reinforcements are coming to the respawn zone behind the base, trying to finally make it available for the team. But now most of the Polish team forces have respawned over here at D, and the Ukrainians are slowly marching, and they do have their repeating crossbows over there, using them to their advantage, while the Polish repeating crossbows are still being bogged down over there. It's a huge time advantage. The uptime on the repeating crossbows just mismatched, to be honest, because the repeating crossbows of the Polish team are completely useless at the moment, and the Ukrainian repeating crossbows are putting in some serious work over here, deleting one melee unit after another, and well, slowly but surely making sure that the Ukrainian team is going to advance towards D. The healing zone though is still available there for the Polish team. It is not being denied by anything, as the Ukrainian cavalry is also busy over here killing them. Well, was busy, now it is dead. The Folksmen, are gone. They level up. They did not, so they did lose quite a lot of XP over there. They have accumulated, so that is good for the Polish team. But how good is it now that they have finally been able to heal over here on the base? They are now launching a huge attack over to C. Other forces over here trying to deny the Ukrainian teams from falling back, and there's really nothing that the Ukrainians could heal and reinforce C with. They can possibly recall these units, but instead they're just going to rush to C from that direction, from behind, from the side of the Polish base. They are sending the cavalry into the area, but that cavalry is going to be matched with the Polish cavalry, and now Polish are looking to quickly grab control over C as well. They are going to lose D, as they are looking for a trade. They are giving up D for C, but can they actually get C? That's the question. They definitely do have an advantage in this area for the moment, but the Ukrainians still have quite a number advantage, sorry, not number, but just quite a numbers present on top of C, and they are not going to be easily routed, especially as the Polish team can't really fight any flanks over here, as this is just a line engagement. They do have repeating crossbows over here to help. They have found some really good volleys in the back of these glaives. Even more and more units approaching from the base, from both teams actually, as obviously those foxes have finally managed to arrive, but they are going to be stopped ahead of the point. They will not be allowed to get in, and now the Polish team Folksmen need to find some reflanks over here. There we go, they do, but that unit is buffed by God of War. It is not going down. Fortify as well, so it is going to be difficult, but once the God of War runs out from this glaive unit, which it now did, those Ukrainian units may be cleared up, and C may be falling into the Polish hands. That being said, even once it falls, the Polish team will become in control over just 1 point, because Ukrainians have gotten D back. They didn't give up B, so they control 4 out of 5 points, and still have the C healing zone that is being denied by the Polish team infantry at the moment, but the Ukrainian reinforcements over from D, the ones that won that flank, are now pushing forward. Polish units are running all the way back over here. Why just not recall the base? It's closer. Well, anyway, the C is, was being captured for a brief second. Now that unit is going to be routed and killed. C will now again be captured. That it is refusing to be flanked and run. There we go. Now it will finally go down, but Ukrainian spears have managed to get inside the point in that time. And well, given how many Polish units are here in the center, they really do need just a few seconds to capture that point. But as long as the Ukrainians can just really, they're sacrificing unit after unit, just pulling through. That pike unit is not in pike phalanx. That guy just lost all 3 of his units, but he is buying time for the Ukrainian team for more and more units to arrive and arrive. They're just throwing in unit after unit, they're sacrificing a lot. They're saying, yeah, you can get that many kills more than us, you can get that XP advantage, we don't care. All we need to do is hold on to that point, because that is what is going to secure the victory for us. You don't win by kills, you win by controlling the points, and the Ukrainians have managed to clear up the Polish units that were denying the healing, and now they will be able to pour in more and more units. The Polish team is still trying to prevent them from getting in, but there are just simply too many Ukrainian units spawning in, surrounding and finding their way into the point. Now the repeating crosses will again be found. They dodge the charge, or the charge was missed really, but that doesn't really matter, as the only way they can dodge is straight into the embrace of the Ukrainian infantry, and that will mean that they will be cut down even faster than if they got charged and just, well, embrace the charge, I guess. So a nice zoning charge there by the Ukrainian team. Polish team is desperately trying to reinforce the attempt at C, but their healing zone is a little bit further away than the Ukrainian healing zone over here at C. And that simply means that the Ukrainians are going to hold onto the C point. Now that the Polish team has lost both C and D, they are definitely not going to go back to that game. They are trying to get B, but they have only one unit over there. 2 versus 2 over here, Folksmen versus Folksmen, some swords as well being thrown into the mix. So the Polish team is now trying to get B back, but even if they do, it is still going to be only 2 points to the 3 controlled by Ukrainians. Point gain for the Ukrainians is only 3 points per second at the moment, as both B and C are contested. Polish team is also trying to launch a counterattack onto D. They really do need to decide what they are committing to. They are committing heavily to both flanks, and this is Rubicon. They need to remember that this is Rubicon. So if they commit heavily to both flanks, the way to the base is wide open. We'll see if the Ukrainian team realizes that, but instead the Ukrainians are trying to just prevent them from getting any of the points, so they are looking to match them on the flanks. But well, the Polish team is a little bit faster on that maneuver, so we will see if the Ukrainians are actually going to fall for it, or if they're going to go for the Polish base. Front lines over here on this flank, on the A-D flank, are quite stretched. The Polish team doesn't really know whether they want to defend from the Ukrainian advance towards A, or they want to attack themselves. Attack is definitely going to be stopped in its tracks, as Arcane over here and some pikemen and spearmen reinforcements are stopping them. Another engagement over here, stopping the Polish team way before it can get on top of D, so no contest there. A also is not going to be contested, as the Polish team managed to reinforce, or rather just did not advance towards D and just 11 units behind. The Polish team is now doing pretty well over here on B. Those 2 Folksmen are being kept away, so only 1 unit of cavalry still left inside the point. Obviously they need to finish off these Folksmen after they have routed them. They are going to unroute, but can they be cut down before they unroute? That is the question. Still holding 22 soldiers. There we go. Now they suddenly drop to 10, and they die. Now the Polish team needs to clear this cavalry out to get B under their control. Healing zones sort of being like this. 2 cavalry units from the Polish team already very greedy, but that's a good move. They need to get B as quickly as possible. That unit of cavalry is going to go down now anytime soon. Folksmen have disengaged though, and they managed to find their way inside the point, so even though the cavalry has been cut down, the point is still being contested. The cavalry for the Polish team, together with some infantry, is going to capture E as quickly as B is going to be captured. But the Ukrainian team, as long as those Folksmen are buying time, they also have time to respond to that sneaky E capture. We'll see cavalry can be now healed up over here, and they will be able to go straight to E. The Ukrainians are already sending infantry reinforcements to E. They're not risking the base capture at all. They say we are like 1,000 ahead in points, more than 1,000 actually. We are getting more points per second. Let's not try to win by the base capture and possibly throwing the victory away. I'm just going to slowly but surely win by points. B now finally under control of the Polish team. They are going to start capturing and as soon as that starts happening, he's going to be captured as well. But the Ukrainian cavalry isn't coming. It needs to be stopped by the Polish cavalry. But it's 2 versus 2. The only way the Polish team can do that is holding them at the very edge of the point, and then even then they can just pull through. And even more infantry from the Ukrainians is coming. The Ukrainian cavalry actually just outmaneuvered the Polish cavalry. 12 of mass here wasted again. Ooh, that's quite a big outplay. So yeah, the Ukrainians are going to hold on to their point E and quite convincingly land with a victory, 1-0, leading this the second semi-final after winning the first battle against the Polish team. So 1-0 for Ukraine. Let's see if they will be able to repeat that in the next battle, and then if they win, they will advance to the final against Russia, and Poland would drop to the third place match against China. But we still have at the very least 1 more battle to go, and 2 if possibly the Polish team tries to get back. But that is going to happen on Sunday. So in the meantime, you can help us bring Total War Arena back to the West. And until then, I'll see you on Arena's Battlefields, Commanders.